Okay, I'm working on a quilt, and this is a 2-panel quilt. One side, the left side says OSU, that's Oklahoma State University, and the right side is OU, that's Oklahoma University. And this is a family quilt. Down at the bottom, I'll have to adjust these to fit because in the center here it says house divided. So I'm guessing that one person in the house is an OSU fan, the other person is an OU fan. So I set this up. This is a border all the way around, 4-inch border. Then in the center, to divide the two halves of the quilt, there's a 2-inch sash all the way from top to bottom. So I made a pattern and put it in there. So I set this up and then used a snipping tool and made a JPG so that I could use the import image feature and put this on the screen so that it could be seen what is going on with this quilt. Then in this first group, I'll show you that I've already quilted part of the quilt, and since there's a crosshatch in the upper left corner, and that you can see in this photo that I imported, this image. So I've already quilted that and quilted the OSU and the OU across the top. I also quilted the first part of this. This is made up of 3 blocks on the left side and 3 blocks on the right side that are about 12.5 by 12.5. So I quilted the top panel, top 3 blocks, with these 3 repeats, these 3 patterns. Then the right hand side I quilted the OU part with these designs right here. Now I did not want to continue all the way to the bottom with this type of quilting, so I simply got a meander pattern. I'll go to my project, and this is cotton. It's cloud meander. It's cloud meander, and I quilted that in the next 2 sets of 3 blocks on each side. I also quilted the OSU down this border, quilted this football pattern down the center of this. Even though my photo shows that it has this diamond, I decided not to use that diamond pattern down the center. Decided to use the football. So that's quilted down the center. And then on the right hand border, I quilted the OU. And that's going down this way, OU, down. And on the left side, OSU is going up. So I also placed enough repeats of this OSU pattern to fill this from the top to the bottom of this border. There's 86 inches here to fill. There's 86 inches to fill in this 2-inch sash, and 86 inches to fill in this OU. So I just worked my way through to quilt each piece of this. Now I have my machine needle sitting right at this point right there. So it's easy. And I see a lot of things about using repeat patterns and relocate and using doing borders and all this, and I never use the border corner feature. I always use my borders as I want to, and I always chunk my borders as I stitch down the sides. So now, to get this all lined up, very simple, I'll just zoom in. I'm going to right click over here off of this area and go down to relocate, shift alt to one point. This is the point I want to use to relocate. Turn on my end snap, let it snap to that, left click, click yes. Now that is all lined up. And as I quilt this, even this one, this area, I will do a relocate again to make sure I have everything correctly aligned. So now I need to put the patterns down this way. You say, well, how are you going to get these patterns from over here to there? I'm going to select these two patterns. Then I'll right click, relocate, shift, select it to one point. The point I want to move to where the needle is located is this point right there, the start point. I'll turn on my end snap. It says click on a known point. Well, the point I want is that one right there. I'll click it, click yes. There they are. They've just absolutely miraculously jumped from over here to over there. So now I'm not going to stitch these because I've already stitched them. So I'll toggle them as sewn. Okay, these patterns are in place now. I toggle them as sewn. I need to stitch this pattern and then put the patterns in this sash. So I'm going to do a relocate and get the patterns in this area right here. I'm going to pick a point that is easy to use, and as Janice has explained, a good place for me to do that is to use a point where I have a sharp point, and I have that where this pattern goes right into that point, and we'll see how it lines up over here if I need to. Okay, it's not quite lined up. I'm going to use this point right there. Again, what will I do? I'll go over here somewhere, right click, use relocate, shift all to one point. The point I want to use is this point right there. I'm going to get my nodes. I want to divide that right there. Many things can happen that you don't want to happen. Again, I'm going to do a relocate. Right click, relocate, shift all to one point. This is the point that I want. If I turn on my end snap, it should snap to that point. And if it doesn't, I'm going to have to see where. Okay, I don't have my end snap on. Let me turn on the end snap. There it is. It snapped to it, okay? Now I'll click yes. Turn off my end snap. And you can see it is lined up with that point right there. So what I'll do is draw a boundary, place these patterns in place, and then quilt out this next section. I have my boundary drawn in this next section to quilt. I have my cloud meander pattern selected, and what I will do now is I have the needle in the upper left corner. Click on repeat patterns. I know that this is 38 inches. I want to click OK here. It'll place the pattern on the screen. Okay, I have 38 inches. My total width is going to be 38. Okay, you can see it has filled in the 3 repeats that I need. Click OK. I'm going to select these 3 repeats. And I'm going to also make them a little smaller. Okay, that looks good. Okay, this panel is quilted, and I've deleted my boundary. I'm going to relocate this football, and that'll relocate everything on the screen. So I'll right click somewhere, relocate, shift all to one point. I will turn on my end snap so it'll snap to that point right there. There it is. Click and click yes. Now it's all lined up around that point. I turn off my end snap, draw my boundary. My machine is all set to shift these footballs in place. I have the needle at the end of this last football repeat. I will select what I can quilt over here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 repeats. Okay, I have 4 repeats selected here. I'll try this again. So now I'm going to right click and select my relocate, shift selected to one point. Okay, I have the end snap on and it snapped to that. Click on it, click yes. All 4 of those repeats now are going to go to where my boundary is, and I'll be ready to stitch that out. All I'm going to do is select them and get my end anchors and move this around. I'm going to turn off the end snap. I'll move this over so that it is inside of there the way I want it to be, about like that. That looks good. I'll just stitch that out.